All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I'm going to be coming at you right now building a very simplistic calculator program, and I decided to do the GUI format first. I've done this already, and I wish I'd have kept my hard copy, but I don't have it, so that's okay. So I'll just virtually do it all from the top of my head. So I'm going to do a file, new, project. I want it to be a Windows Forms application because it's a GUI. If I'd chosen console, it'd be a console app. Those are the only two we're going to be choosing in here. And again, I would suggest that you choose Windows Forms app for most of the things that you're going to do. And I'm going to call this Calculator GUI, which is what it is. And click OK. You're probably now pretty familiar with the way this looks. I'm going to spread this out again a little bit. All right. And as we've been doing, I'm going to change the name of my form to Form Calculator GUI. And I'm going to change the text from Form 1 to something like this is an example of a calculator of a C# calculator built as a GUI application. Good enough. And there you see it up there. Again, I like to change the color always. I don't like this gray in the way that it shows on screen. So I'm going to go to back color. And I'll go to custom. And I'm just going to choose something light. So this kind of orangish is what I'm going to choose. Okay. Now I'm going to introduce a couple components here we have not talked about yet, but of course we will. First is I'm going to come up with a label, which is literally that. This is going to say enter first number. And this is going to say enter second number. And this is going to say answer. All right, we'll change all that stuff up in just a minute, but that's what those are going to be. Okay, I'm trying to line these up a little bit. Now, right now, the problem is, so let's say I come in here and I want to change this to enter. First, let's change the name to label number 1. All right, and if I come through here and I put for the text, enter first number, semicolon, or colon. Okay, it does extend for me. Okay, well, what if I don't want to do that? What if I just want these other two? What I can do is I can take my mouse right here, and I can hold down on the left mouse button and drag. This is called lassoing these controls. All right, but the problem is I can't really change their size like this. But what I can do is I can highlight all of the controls and go over to here, and there is a property. This almost sounds counterintuitive, but it's called auto size. And right now it's set to true. We want to set it to false. Once we do that, we can now make these any size we want. Okay? And it looks like they're all already the size pretty much we want. So we've got enter first number. And then we're going to have, this will be label second number. And we'll want the text on there to say second number. Oh, enter second number, sorry. Enter second number. Okay, now it's not wide enough, but we'll fix that in a minute. And this will say answer. And it will be called label answer. So we now have here label number 1, this should be label number 2, label second number, label number 2, and label answer. Now I want these to be bigger, so I'm going to lasso them again, and I'm just going to stretch this out, and they're all bigger. I'm also going to drag down a little bit and make them a little wider. All right, why am I doing that? Because I'm going to highlight all of these, and I'm going to do a few things here. I'm going to go over to the font property, and right now it's set to a sans serif font at 8.25 points. But I'm going to click there, click the plus sign, and notice there's a bunch of stuff. So I don't like that size. I want to make it 12 points. All right, so you can see already that it's gotten bigger. And I want it to be bold. All right, so it needs to be even a little wider than it is right now, so it shows everything. There we go. And I want it to be right justified. I don't like the way it lays right now. So what I'm going to do is, with all three of these highlighted, I'm going to go down to where it says text align. And right now it says top left. It's kind of weird because when you click on it and click down, it just shows you pictures. But I want center right, which is right there. So that's what I have now. Okay? Again, this isn't perfect. I'm just kind of eyeballing it, but it'll work just fine. Then I'm going to put in a couple text boxes. I'm going to put one right here, over and about there. So that looks pretty good. Then I'm going to put a second text box right there. All right, so there's my two text boxes. They're pretty good. Now I've got my choice with my answer. I can either, and this is what I'm going to do, I could make a label. I'm not going to do that, but I could put a label right here because anytime I add or subtract or multiply or divide two numbers, it's always going to be a certain number. So I could make that a label, but I'm not going to. I'm going to make it a text box, but a special kind of text box. So here's another text box. But this one, I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to say that I want it to be read-only. So if I click there, I can either double-click it, which changes it from false to true, or I can click the down arrow and choose true. Now, unfortunately, it makes it kind of an ugly gray when you do that. So I'm going to go back up to the back color, and I'm going to choose one shade darker of the pink there. So my interface is coming around. It's not perfect, it's not pretty, but it's functional. So now I want to add some buttons. In fact, I'm going to add, at least a half dozen buttons here. So I'm going to go to button 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's just add 8. I may not use all of these, but that's what I'm going to do anyway. So there's 8. There's 7. I'm trying to line them. Again, I'm eyeballing, but I'm trying to line them up. There's 6. There's 5. Over a bit. That over a little. And we'll move this over this way a little. That's not too bad. And then I'm going to have 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Now, I showed you the lassoing before, but I'm going to lasso these again, all 8 of these buttons. And I'm going to move them up, try to line them up a little better with what I've got above. That, again, eyeballing, that looks pretty good. So now I can shrink down the size of my form a bit, both height and width-wise. Okay, so that'll be my final interface. Now, one thing I want to do here is I don't want to be able to move these controls around anymore. I like where they are. So I'm going to highlight all of them, everything that's in here. And I'm going to go down, and there's a property called locked, and it's currently set to false. I'm going to set it to true. Now, none of my controls can be moved. Okay? Do you have to do that? Well, it makes for a more static type of interface, which is what I'm looking for. So, these buttons, this one is going to be called button add. And all it's going to have for a symbol here is just a plus sign. The next one's going to be called button subtract. And it's going to have just a minus sign. I could put the words there if I wanted to, but I'm just for something different. This will be divide. I'm sorry, this will be multiply. So this will be button multiply. All right, and I'll put an asterisk there. This will be divide. And I'll put a / there, which is divide. So those are my major ones. This one, I could move it up here if I wanted to, but I'll just leave it down here. This one will be our modulo. which is our remainder operator. And it'll have a percent sign, because that's the symbol for a modulo. All right. Then we're going to have, what else do we want to do? We're going to want to clear everything. We're going to want to exit the program. And is there one more thing we can do? We'll have another button here that's called information. How's that? Or info, or help, or something. So this one right here will be clear. So we'll change the name on it to button clear. All right. I guess my heat was running in the background. I apologize if this was a little hard to hear. And this will just say clear on it. This one will say exit. So it will be button exit. And its text will be exit. And finally, this last one, we're just going to call this help. All right. And we'll put up like a little help screen explaining what it's all about, what the program's about. All right. And that will say help. Okay, no, I don't want to do button help, just help. There we go. So there's our interface. Again, not beautiful, but highly functional in my opinion. All right, now a couple more things that I want to do here. First of all, did you notice, I'm going to save this, that if I run it right now, none of the buttons are operational. I can enter information in here if I want to, and in here. I can't enter anything in here because it's read-only. I can click each one of these buttons, but nothing happens when I click them, because I haven't put any code there yet. But I'd kind of like it when I run the program, instead of having it appear here, I'd like it to appear in the middle of the screen, right there in the middle. So I'm going to click on my form, and there's a property in here that's called start position. And right now it's set to the default, which is in the upper left corner, but I'm going to change it to center screen. Save it and run it again. Now, as you can see, the run is right in the middle of my screen. I like that better. Okay, that's the first thing I did. Second thing I want to do, I want to set a couple of these buttons as default buttons. So in other words, if I hit the enter key, I want a default action to happen. My default action is going to be plus. That's going to be the default, is to add the two numbers. And that's my default option rather. I'm going to also have one that's called a cancel option. And that'll be like I hit the clear button. So how do I do that? I click on the form, just on an empty spot on the form, single click, and I'm going to come up here to what's called accept button. There it is. Notice none are set right now. If I click this and click the down arrow, it shows me all my buttons. I want to choose button add. All right. Then I want to click on here again and go down to where it says cancel button. Again, it says none, and I'm going to change that to button clear. All right. Now nothing's still going to happen because I haven't put any code there yet. So let's rate these and let's do them in order. So we've got a plus here. So we're going to do that, and then we'll do our minus, and then we'll do our multiply, and then we'll do our divide, and then we'll do our modulo, and then we'll do our clear, and then we'll do our exit, and finally we'll do our help. Since I clicked them in that order, as you can see here, they're in order, so to speak. Make that a little bigger, a little easier to see. All right, so regardless, if I choose one of these operations, any of the arithmetic operations, I want to take this number and do something to it. Add them, multiply, divide, whatever. And then I want the answer to go here. Okay, the problem is when I run this and I put anything in here, so if I run this program now, and I put a 37 here, and I put a 12 right here, as far as C# is concerned, those are not numbers, those are strings. I put in there the string 37 and the string 12. The system doesn't know that they're numbers, so I'll have to let the system know that to treat that as numbers. All right, and how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to go up first to the top of my program here, and right underneath where it says, or how about right up above where I've got my add and my subtract, etc. I'm going to add a couple variables. And I'm going to say here double, and I'm going to call that number 1, and I'm going to set it defaulted equal to 0.0, and double number 2, and I'm going to default that to 0.0, and a double answer. Oops, double wrong. And I'm going to set that equal to 0.0 as well. All right, I'll put some comments here. So we'll say here, first number input, second number input, and we'll put here result of number 1 operation number 2. So it'll be number 1 plus number 2, or minus number 2, or times number 2, or etc. You get the idea. All right. So what I want to do is I want the system to know that I want it to take whatever number we're putting in here, that first text box, and I want it to associate that one with number 1. Then I want to take the second number, the one we put in here, and we want the system to associate that with number 2. Then after we do the operation, we want the results to go in here. So this might be a little overkill, but this is what I'm going to do. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write a little comment for each method. All right, add the 2 numbers input. All right, inputted. How's that? All right, so what I want to say though is I want you to take number 1 and I want you to set that equal to, I want you to convert to a double. Why to a double? Because we said that's what that is. And we want you to grab what was inside of the text box, which is called, remember, text box. Oh, I didn't change the names. Oh, so let's go back and do that. I didn't change these names, and I should have. Did I change these? Button add, button modulo, button subtract, button clear, button multiply, button exit, button divide, button help. These are okay. Label number 1, label number 2, label answer. I like to give, when I can, the text box the same name as a label, but instead of saying label number 1, this will be text box number 1. So I'm going to change all these. So text box number 1. This one will become text box number 2. And this last one will become text box answer. For some reason, when you do these and you put the, as I've got right here where it's read only, to me it looks a little bit smaller. So I'm going to actually widen this out just a real little bit. To do that, I've got to take my lock property for that and turn it off. So I can come in here and drag this down a little bit. And I don't know if it's going to let me do that or not. I might have to go where it says multi-line and set that to true. Now I can drag it down just a little there. I made it a little bit bigger. Now I want to go back and set that read-only again. I want to set the multi-line back so that it's false. And I guess it's going to make it that width. It's fine. I'll live with what we have here. Let's do a couple other things here. Let's take whatever values we put in here. So I'm highlighting all 3 of these. Back first, let's lock this back again. And now let's highlight all 3 of these. And we will say, kind of like we did before, we'll go to the font. We'll set it to 12 point. We'll bold it. All right, but we'll do one more thing. Not just 12 point and bold, but we'll center it. Okay, so let's see. Trying to remember how to center these, but we'll figure it out. Oh boy. maybe we could do it here, but it doesn't look that way. I know there is a way to center it. It's also not very difficult. Unit bold. Well, when in doubt, how to center a C# text box. Let the system figure it out for me. It's the text align property, it looks like. Let's check first and see if I can find the text align. They're all still highlighted. There's text align. Yep. Instead of left, we want that to be center. There we go. All right. Hopefully that'll make it look a little bit nicer, a little bit more professional. All right. So we want to grab what was in text box number 1 dot text. Lowercase t. Okay. So we're saying grab whatever we put in that text box and convert it into a number. Now the program is going to actually break. It's going to break if we put something non-numeric in. We're going to worry about that at a later time. Okay, so that's the first one. Now for number 2, we want to do the exact same thing, but we want it to be text box number 2. All right, then our answer is going to be equal to number 1 plus number 2. Oops. And finally, we have to take that answer, and now we have to say text box answer dot text. That's equal to what? Well, it's equal to answer. Okay? But I'm going to try to do something. It's been a while since I've done this, so we're going to try it. I'm going to say answer dot toString. So I'm going to convert it into a string, but then I want to format it. So I'm going to say here F2. I'm hoping that that's correct. If it's wrong, we're going to know it real fast. All right. So what did we just do? Well, let's play computer. Let's run the program. The only one that'll work right now is our plus. But if we come in here and we say 37 and we say 12 and we click the plus button, there's 49 to 2 decimal places. And I put decimal places in there because we're going to make it possible. If we want to, we could say, for example, 37.75 plus 12.123. And again, it does the math. Okay, well, I didn't say 0.75 there where I should have. So there we go. So I think everybody gets the idea as far as what's going on. At least I hope you do. So I'm going to just, for lack of better words, fill in the blanks for the rest of these. So I'm going to grab all this code right here. And this one will say minus instead of plus. Put it in again. This one will say asterisk because it's times. The next one here will say slash because it's divide. And the last one here we'll put in a % for modulo. Now, there are problems, not errors, but problems with this code. Notice how much code I'm duplicating. I'm doing this every time. This every time, etc. We'll find out in a later class how we can fix that. Okay, so now all of our mathematical operations should be done. So we use 37 and 12. I won't worry about decimals. We can now add them, subtract, multiply, divide, and do a modulo. Perfect. Those all work. Now let's think about it. We want to have actually 4 things happen when we click the clear button. We want this to clear right there. We want this to clear right here. We want this to clear, but since it's read-only, I can't remove what's in there. And we want the cursor to go back to the first field. So that's what we're going to do in our clear routine. All right. So again, the first thing we want to do, and in fact, let's be consistent here. Let's put in comments for each one of these. So this one will say subtract, oops, what I did there. Subtract number 2 from number 1. This next one will say multiply number 1 by number 2. I guess I could change this one to add number 2 to number 1. And this one is subtract number 2 from number 1. Multiply number 1 by number 2. This one can be divide number 1 by number 2. All right. You remember, you comment for a lot of reasons. Right now I'm just putting some in here so we have some comments in here. All right, the modulo will basically say provide remainder of number 1 divided by number 2. Okay? And clear will, this routine will do 4 things. First, clear number 1, I should say clear text box number 1. Next, we'll clear text box number 2. Next, we'll clear text box answer. And next, we'll finally do what's called put the focus on text box number 1. All right, so we want to do those 4 things. How do we do that? First, we say text box number 1 dot text equals double quote, double quote. We set it equal to the empty string. Then we want to do the same thing with text box number 2 and with text box answer. So now we have now done the first 3 of the 4 things we want to do. So how do we add that focus there? All right, we say where we want the focus to go, text box number 1 dot focus. And it's a method, so we do it like that. Let's see if that works. All right, so we have here, again, I've been using 37 and 12. We can add, we can multiply, or just subtract, multiply, divide, modulo, and now we can clear, and there's our cursor. So we've got to do exit and help. So let's do those, and we'll finish this up then. For exit, hopefully you know this, now it's application.exit. Okay, so I'll put a comment in here. What I want, that's fine. And I'll say exit the program. Save that, and let's run it again. Then we'll build errors. So what did I make an error in? Oh, no semicolon. There we go. 37, 12. Remember, we set this as our default button, called our accept button. So now notice, see where my mouse is. I'm going to just hit the enter key, and it does the add. All right. And if you remember, our cancel button was clear. So if I hit the escape key, it clears. Both those work. That's good. If we click exit, does it now exit the program? Yes, it does. Everything we've got in here works. All right, again, the program will blow up if I leave this blank and tell it to do an operation. It'll give me that exception assistant that I mentioned in class because it's attempting to convert something that's not numeric. We'll handle that, but later on in the semester. All right, so let's just do the last thing, which is to come in here and do that last button, which will give us help. There's different ways that we could do this, but I'm going to do something that's called messagebox.show. And I'm going to put in here, this is a simple GUI calculator C# program. All right, that's what I'll put in for the first part. All right, and I'm going to hit enter, and I'm going to say here C#. Notice this is all in caps. You'll see why in a minute. Calculator GUI. And I don't have to put this stuff on separate lines, but I'm doing it just to show what's what here. I'm going to put a button on there that just says OK. You'll see again all this in just a minute. And then I'm going to put a thing in here that's called, for my icon, and it's going to be information. Now you might not understand what any of this means, but let's break it down. There's 4 components. This is a simple GUI calculator C# program, and I should probably say this is a simple GUI C# calculator program. I think that sounds a little better. So this will be the text that you see inside of our message box in just a minute. All right, this will be the title of the message box. It will have a single button that says OK, and it'll have a single icon to the left that's got an eye in it for information. What does that mean? Let's run it and find out. So again, let me move this over. All right, this is a simple calculator program. Notice when I click help, this is a simple calculator program. So that right there, that's the text you see right here. The C# calculator GUI, that's the title you see up here. The message box with an OK button, that's here. And the information icon, that's here. We'll work with these more as we go on. All right. So now we have everything keyed in here. There's only one more thing I want to do. It's kind of harsh. It's kind of harsh to just say application.exit like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide another one of these message boxes. And I'm going to change it a little bit, and you'll see all this in just a second. All right, so I'm going to make another message box here that says, quit the program now. Okay, and then this will say exit program. Now, instead of just having an OK button, I'm going to have what's called an OK cancel button. Okay, this will change from messagebox.information to messagebox question. All right, so I'm going to put that there, and I'm trying to remember the exact code that I use for this, so bear with me if you would for just a minute. This may be wrong, but we'll look at it anyway. So if all that equal OK, oh, I guess it's not OK. I'll tell you what, let's make sure that the message box even worked. Okay? Get rid of that double equal sign there. So let's get rid of that. And then all these arrows should go away. There we go. So now if I click exit after putting that there, and I click exit, notice what I get here. Quit the program now, end program. But I want to set it up so if I click cancel, it stays. And if I click OK, the program ends. I'm trying to remember how to do that. It's been a while since I've coded this, so I apologize. My heat's going on, so I'm going to pause while I look this up. All right, so I Googled how to program a C# message box for a click of OK. You can see they show me some videos, but I don't want to see a video. Okay, so and I looked at that. That wasn't what I wanted, but this is pretty much what I want. But I don't want to say dialog result dot yes. fact, I can do that. Let's do that. And then I can use this code that's in here. And the way that I'll do that is instead of making this, a OK cancel, I'm going to make that a message box dot yes no. So right now, notice if I run this and I click the exit button, it says OK and cancel. All right? So it does that, but I don't want it to say OK cancel. I want it to say yes no. All right, now I can say if this dot, no, what was it on there? Oops, over here. Okay, equal dialog result dot yes. Equal dialog result dot yes. That means if I click the yes button, which is what I want, so if I clicked yes, I want to stop the program. So I do want to say application dot exit. And if I didn't click the yes, meaning I clicked no, I don't want to exit yet. So let's see if that worked. So again, I'll just put in random numbers. I can add them, subtract, multiply, divide, modulo. I can clear. I can put in my help. But now when I click exit, it says, do you want to quit the program? I'm going to say no, and I don't quit. But if I say yes, I quit. One more thing I want to do, and then we're putting this program to rest. That is, what I'd like to do is I'd like to have this program set up that if the program starts here all the time, right there, in that first text box. And if I hit tab, it goes to here, then it goes to here, then it goes to here, then 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 to here. Any label, technically you can't even tab to, and you can't tab to something really that's read-only. But so I want the tab order to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we'll make that 10. I won't worry about these. If I want to change the tab order manually, I go to View, and I go down to Tab Order. And I want that to be 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7, then 8, then 9, then 10, and even though I don't have to do these, I'll just put them there anyway. 11, 12, and 13. All right, then if I do another View Tab Order again, that all goes away. But it's changed. So I'm going to do one more save, and I'm going to run this one last time. But notice what happens. See how my mouse is there to begin with? Now watch as I hit tab. That's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? We'll run it one last time to make sure we didn't break anything. Let's put in 12 and 5. 12 plus 5 is 17. 12 minus 5 is 7. 12 times 5 is 60. 12 divided by 5 is 2.40 or 2.4. 12 modulo 5 is 2. I can clear. I can do my help. And I can exit. And click yes. All right. This is the program I plan to do exactly in class tomorrow, which will be Tuesday, January 10th. Okay? And I'm going to go back for the console program. There's a little bit more work to it, so I am going to run that one off at Rankin tomorrow, and then I'll do a tape on that one too. So hopefully by the time you come to class, there will be another tape in there for that one also. But that's it for this one.